Let me go back to the couple, the digital couple.
So think about all the people you meet and the hundreds of random numbers. And they were even identified as girl I ran with, second girl I ran with, a contact and in parentheses, hair. But then there was mother and father and his sister and just a few others, 18.
And he's, he's in his 30s. Like this, that's unbelievable in this day and age. It is not unusual for people to have well over 1,000 contacts, many thousands of contacts at this stage in our lives. Everything is on our phones. Everything's digital. What about text chains? Did you see any communications with other people other than mother and father?
Not really. No, it was, I couldn't name a single person that he communicated with other than just his parents. There was some one-off communications here and there, and there was some emailing and other things. But for texting, if you think of the friend that you sent a message to on a whim, there wasn't one single person like that.
And I know that we learned during the final hearings before he was sent packing to the Idaho Maximum Security Institution that he had done quite a job at scrubbing a lot of his devices. How good a job, and how were you able to get past some of what he thought he put over on you?
This was one of the hardest investigations I've ever worked in 23 years of looking at digital data. He cleaned up well. He knew how to use VPNs. He knew how to use incognito browsing. Where he messed up, downloads on his Android device. He also didn't consider the fact that even on a PC, if you delete, every contact leaves a trace. So we can see the files when you turn something off. We can see when you clear something. All of that was left behind for us.
Let me ask you this. The handshakes that we now find are so helpful in digital forensics when killers don't realize they're connecting to a Wi-Fi where they're not supposed to be. Did he have a lot of questionable digital handshakes, like say at the Mad Greek restaurant where two of the victims worked? Did you see anything that was of interest or evidentially helpful with his digital handshakes?
Yeah, I'll break that down sort of with two parts. So his Wi-Fi connections, there were just a few. And the interesting part about this is 2 days prior to the murders, he turned off Wi-Fi for his phone. So he just didn't want his device to be able to connect to Wi-Fi. It turned back on soon after the murders. But there was one reference to Mad Greek, and it came from a passive assist file associated with Google Maps. So if you open Google Maps and you search for restaurants near me, if you're near Mad Greek, it would populate, and that reference was then logged on his phone.
And then the other question I have for you is, we just looked at that.
And now, so that was information that was deemed unimportant and showed no connection whatsoever between him, his digital devices, and any of the victims. How is that ignored when here's two digital experts that says, yes, his phone connected to the Wi-Fi at the Mad Greek restaurant where two of the victims worked? How is that not? What am I missing here, Mike?
Bill, the only thing I can think of, and I don't mean to, be an apologist for Bill Thompson, but maybe at the time that people said that, he went there and he may have had an interaction with Kaylee, Madison or Zaina, maybe at that time they couldn't verify that, through through video or something like that, on that day. And maybe Bill Thompson wasn't at that time privy to the breaking down of the security that Kohberger tried to put into his phone. So maybe he actually was not made aware of that connection with his Wi-Fi at the time that in the beginning of the investigation. But it's certainly at this late stage when everything is done, it's all packaged up and ready to go for trial. You would think he would know, or somebody in his staff would have seen that and said, we have to get somebody from the Mad Greek restaurant on our witness list because we got this and we got that, and we have an expert to talk about it. Or he's maybe not as involved in the case as we think. It could be that his staff is doing all the work, or most of the work, and he's just supervising them. I'm not sure, but either choice that I see does not make me comfortable at all.
You know, Mike, what I think is, look, early on in this investigation, besides the fact that they're saying now that his phone hit on the Wi-Fi in the Mad Greek, they had a witness that said, yes, he was in there and he ordered vegetarian pizza. But then the owner of the restaurant came out and unapologetically said he's never been here. But that he was doing that to protect his restaurant. He wanted no part of the circus that followed this whole thing. So you have to realize that people sometimes don't tell the truth for other reasons that are political. And that's what we're trying to figure out here, is that why are they not just admitting to this stuff? He pled guilty. Now, why can't you admit to this? And I find it baffling. And, you know, especially that when I said that one lieutenant that said, oh, there's no proof he targeted the house. How could you even say that? He killed 4 people in it. How could you say there's no proof he targeted the house? I find that ridiculous. You know, let me go back to these experts here.
Selfie. We had it up on the screen that he took within hours of the murders. He's freshly washed and he's got the thumbs up. He looks like he's in a bathroom and he looks extremely proud. Were you able to ascertain anything about that photo? Did he manipulate the photo? Did he screen grab it bigger? Did he rest on it for, you know, hours or minutes? Did he send it to anyone? Did you see anything of interest about that picture?
So this photo jumped out to us right away. And I remember us asking the FBI at the time, have you seen this? And they said, yes, we found that already. We're like, okay, but look at his knuckles and how white they are. To us, it looks like someone that scrubbed them and had to get something off, maybe blood or some kind of residue off his knuckles. Also, the Band-Aid on his finger was there in that image. You can see a shower curtain in later images that he had taken